Back there, you can pull over. There's some extra chairs there. We'll try to get someone to get those out.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته. So some of our families today are Sunday school families. This is our assembly. It's going to be a special assembly. And then we'll head to class, and parents and our other guests, you're welcome to stay the whole time. I'm just going to do a few quick reminders and updates. And then I'm going to hand the mic over to Dr. Badeea Qureshi, who's going to do this special assembly. So first and foremost, we want to remember in all of our gatherings to make dua for our brothers and sisters all around the world, in Palestine and Lebanon and Sudan and Congo, all over the world. There's a lot of really scary things that are happening. And our strongest tool is our dua. So with every prayer, every quiet moment, please remember to make dua for our brothers and sisters around the world, inshallah. Today, we have a really special conversation happening. It's a really big one, and it's even more relevant today based on some of the news that has come out in the last few weeks. I'm sure some of our families know. Otherwise, Dr. Badeea, I'm sure will touch on it. Families, if you have a topic that you feel is important to bring to our Sunday school community, please don't hesitate to email me at sundayschool@mapsredmond.org. We are open to having these conversations during our assemblies. This is our smaller group. In the morning, we have almost 250 students. So anything that we want to bring to our families and our students, that would be a really great time to do so. For Sunday school families, next week is our Character Counts Assembly. So please make sure you're on time, and families plan to be here a little bit longer in case your child is receiving a award, inshallah. We will not have school on December 1st, which is Thanksgiving weekend, so please jot that down in your calendars. No school on December 1st, inshallah. And finally, in one of our AM classes, one of our 4-year-old students in pre-K just finished her cancer treatment this week. She had her last chemotherapy, and in a few weeks, she'll be ringing the bell, signifying that she's completed her cancer treatment. She was diagnosed at age 2, and now she's 4, and alhamdulillah, she's cancer-free. So please keep her older sister, and her parents in your dua. And if this affliction has ever touched your family, her mother, Rosie, has given me permission to share her contact information if you ever need a resource. May Allah make you never need that as a resource, but she is available for that, inshallah. That is all of my updates today. Jazakallah khair for families that made extra time to come to this really important conversation. I just want to give a trigger warning that some of these topics can be difficult and challenging for us to hear and discuss, but they are so, so, so important. So if you feel uncomfortable, that's normal, but we're going to lean into that discomfort to have the power of knowledge, inshallah. We're really grateful to have Dr. Badeea Qureshi here to speak with us today. Thank you so much for being here, and the mic is yours.
Assalamu alaikum, everybody. So I did this same talk a couple of weeks ago for the morning session of Sunday school, and we said it's only right and only fair to do it again for our afternoon class, which is you guys. So alhamdulillah, here we are. And this is really, really an important conversation, and we are going to do this in an age-appropriate way, and then dismiss the younger kids as the content gets increasingly more advanced, okay? Like Fatima mentioned, this may be uncomfortable, but that's to be expected and necessary. All right. Do the children, have the children already, do they know that they're having a special assembly about? What are we talking about today, children? Who can read? Modesty, privacy, and puberty for children. Alhamdulillah. Let's go. So some of the goals for today, some of the things we're going to be talking about. Privacy. What is that? Safety. How to keep ourselves safe. Modesty as a Muslim. And growing up and the changes that happen with your body as you grow up. Why is it important to have this conversation? I mean, do we really need to have it? Is it that big a deal? Are we just making a big deal out of it? Here's some people nodding over there. Well, the point is that we need to develop a basic understanding of some of these concepts. We need to have this conversation inside of our safe environments, like our Sunday school environment. We want to center our Muslim values. When I created this talk, I used Lake Washington School District curriculum to create this talk. So these conversations are happening in our communities at large. We want to be able to have them inside of our Muslim community to center our Muslim values. We want to learn from trusted sources that we can trust. And inshallah, you can trust me today with this. And we want to really focus on protecting our mental health as well. Okay, a little bit about me. Like, why am I here, standing up here, doing this special assembly for you guys? And who am I? Right, so I'll tell you a bit about me. So my name is Badeea Qureshi. I'm a psychiatrist. I went to school at the University of Liverpool School of Medicine, that's in the UK, so I'm from the UK. I did my psychiatry residency training at the University of Washington, down the road. I'm sure many of you guys will grow up and go to the University of Washington. I'm a mom of 3. I have 3 kids, 2 of them are in the morning Sunday school, and I'm an active member of the Muslim community here. Real quick, I always have to include this slide in my presentations because nobody knows what a psychiatrist is or what a psychiatrist does. I've been called a psychic, I've been called a chiropractor, all sorts of things. So what is a psychiatrist? Somebody who has been to medical school. They are medical doctors. They completed residency training in psychiatry. I have the title MD, medical doctor. We are experts in mental health disorders, depression, anxiety, PTSD, postpartum depression, addictions, you name it, psychosis, you name it. I can't even list all the things. We are experts in medication management because sometimes these disorders do require medications, and that's okay. We have the tools. And we are experts in advanced psychotherapy, which is talk therapy. And I would do that from a bit of a Muslim stance as well. So that's what a psychiatrist is, you guys. Okay? Let's get into the meat of our topic. This is the way we are dividing the curriculum today, based on Lake Washington School District. So we've got pre-K up until 2nd grade, and then those folks will be dismissed. Then we'll do our 3rd grade to 5th grade curriculum, then those folks will be dismissed, and then we'll have 6th grade and up. And the reason we've divided it like this is because this is how the school system works as well. And the reason we want everybody sitting here throughout the whole talk is because our older kids and our parents should know what we are teaching our younger kids. And it's a way for us to develop the language and the skill to have these conversations. So this is also about developing the language to have these conversations at home. All right. What is modesty? Children, tell me, what is modesty? Who knows what modesty is? Nobody knows? I'll tell you what it is then. What? There's a hand? Did I miss? Go on. What's modesty? Okay, covering our bodies, the way we dress is modest, right? The way we speak and the way we behave is all about modesty. And modesty in Islam is a really big deal. the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, said that modesty is part of our faith. It is a really big deal for us as Muslims. Okay, now I want some audience participation. Are you ready? I'm going to ask you some scenarios, and you're going to tell me what you would do in these scenarios. And I especially want to hear from the younger kids who are between pre-K and second grade. Okay, so shout out to me. This scenario is about changing clothes in private. You are at home and you need to change your clothes. Where should you go to do that? Bathroom? The bathroom? Pikachu guy, yes? The closet, if you got a large enough closet. Your bedroom, maybe with the door closed as well, if you don't share your bedroom. Where else? Yes, go on. A private place. Do we start changing our clothes when our neighborhood friends are around the house? Do we start changing our clothes in the game room in our house when everybody's... What about in the kitchen? Do we change our clothes in the kitchen? He might be a tiny baby, but do we change our clothes in the living room when our family's trying to do movie night? Yeah, we change our clothes in private. This might seem basic and simple, but you guys, we're doing all sorts of things, so I'm making it clear for you today, okay? Next scenario, using the bathroom. A friend at school asks about your private parts or wants to show you, oh sorry, this is the next slide. Using the bathroom, don't worry, we're getting to that one. If someone is using the bathroom and you also need to go, what should you do? Wait. Are you going to have an accident while you wait? Are you accidentally pee yourself while you're waiting? No, take a deep breath and wait. You're going to be okay. You can wait to use the bathroom if somebody else is using it. Go on, you in the back. Go to another bathroom if there is one. Okay, should there ever be more than one person in one bathroom stall? Do two people need to be using one bathroom stall at any one time? Absolutely not. Well, potty training, that's for kids who are not here. That's for parents and toddlers are different situations. But what about you? A kid your age, my friend in red, should you be in the bathroom with another kid? Absolutely not. No. So do we get that? Let's move along. Right, we're increasing the intensity now. If a friend asks about private parts, so a friend at school asks about your private parts or wants to show you theirs, what do you do? Go on. Say no. What? What do you do? Say no. Go on, in blue. Stop engaging with them. Don't even talk to them. Go on. Don't what? Don't bother them? Okay. If somebody asks to show you their private parts or asks to see yours, do you say, oh, okay then? No. Do you say, okay, I won't show you mine, but I'm okay seeing yours? No, we don't. Our bodies are private, especially from the belly button to the knee. No, belly button to the knee. Pay attention, pay attention. I might be a bit laughy-jokey, but this is not a laughy-jokey topic. This is a serious topic, and we're talking about this for our bodily safety, okay? From belly button to knee, nobody needs to see that. Nobody wants to. And you don't need to see that from anybody else either. That is private. That belongs to you. Do you have to be polite and say, oh, no, thank you, please, I don't want to see that. Or no, please, I don't want to show you mine. Do you have to be polite? Can you be rude? Yeah, you can. You can say, no, I'm not doing that. No. Okay? And if somebody asks you that, and something like that happens, it's important to tell your grown-up. That's really important. All right, safety scenarios. Safe versus unsafe touch. Listen up, folks. What if someone tries to touch you in a funny way, in a way you don't like, in a way that makes you think, uh-oh, something here is not right? What if somebody tries to touch you like that? Say, stop, stop. What else? Punch them. What, go on? Tell a grown-up. Okay, we don't need to do physical violence things, but that is really serious. It's really serious. If somebody tries to touch you in an inappropriate way, that means they try and touch you anywhere between your belly button and your knees. That is unacceptable, and you must tell your grown-up about that. Is that clear? Is anybody still confused about that? Okay, next scenario, no secrets. A grown-up says, don't tell anyone about this. What are you going to do? It depends. What we're talking about is inappropriate touch, inappropriate comments. If somebody is touching you inappropriately on your private parts, somebody is asking to see your privates or showing you theirs, is that a secret that you should be keeping? Absolutely not. That is a time when a grown-up needs to know. Does it depend who the grown-up is? Tell me what you mean by that. So for instance, if the kid is literally in diapers and your mom is changing the diaper, that's acceptable. If you have to go to the doctor and you are having a physical checkup with the doctor and your parent is in the room, that is acceptable. But if anybody is touching you in an inappropriate way outside of those settings and telling you to keep it a secret, that is not appropriate, ever. And you must tell your grown-up about that. Is that clear? Is it not clear? Do you have questions? Do you have questions? If you have questions, now is the time to ask. Any questions about any of those scenarios from parents, from children? Yes? So when we're not talking about diapers right now. We're talking to children who are pre-K and older. If you are here in this Sunday school, you shouldn't be in diapers at this point, okay? So this is the age range that we're talking about, okay? So where are our private parts? From belly button to knee. This is private. Nobody touches any of that. Nobody goes to the bathroom with another person. Nobody changes in front of a bunch of other people. Okay? This is where to find me. Any more questions? Go on. Yes. What's underneath your underwear is definitely private. Your underwear, if nobody's wearing underwear, then it's just underwear. It's just a piece of cloth, really, isn't it? Might be funny, but it's just a piece of cloth. But if somebody's wearing that underwear, what's under the underwear is private. Any more questions? Who? I can't see. Yes, yes? Yep. Yeah. So when we're talking about belly button to the knee, it means all around, belly button to the knee. You have a 3D body, not a 2D body. the whole thing, okay? Any more questions or concerns? Now's the time.
Parents, this is a good time to ask questions. If there's something you'd like your child to hear too, this is a really good time to ask questions that they can hear the answer.
If the grown-up is known to the child, and by the way, in most cases, the grown-up is known to the child. If the grown-up is known to the child, you know this grown-up, and this grown-up is asking to see private parts, or showing you theirs, or asking to touch yours, it's unacceptable. It's unacceptable. It doesn't matter if you know the grown-up or not. This is private. It belongs to you. Allah created it for you. And a grown-up that you trust needs to know about that quickly, as a matter of urgency, okay? Even if you know that person who's doing that stuff or not. Is that clear?
There was a really good question that came up last time about family members that want to have our children and our children don't want to have them. Should we force them to have our family members to show our love for them? Or what should we do in this?
So children, sometimes you might be visiting family members that you don't see very often, like grandparents or cousins, aunties and uncles. If your parents are in the room and everybody's greeting everybody, you're all hugging each other, it's acceptable, that's appropriate. It's in a public setting, right? But if somebody is really forcing the kid to, why doesn't this kid give me a hug? Give it a second, let them open up, let them warm up to you. The trip has just started, Children feel comfortable hugging parents and people that they know well. So it's okay to give them a little time to make that adjustment. It's not about hurting people's feelings, okay? But in a public setting, I think when parents are present and people are hugging and kissing, it might be Yom al-Eid or something, it's okay. It's completely okay. Yes? No? No? Okay. Are we good? Yes, go on. Yes.
I love that answer, but I do want to add, sometimes our children have a sense that we are not picking up on. And I want to say, I want us to give our children agency over who is allowed to touch them at all. Even if it's my mother, I have told her, my son doesn't want to hug right now, and he's in charge of his body. And that's uncomfortable. But when he knows he has control over his body in a safe place, when I'm sitting there and his grandma is sitting there, then he has courage in an uncomfortable situation to say, you don't get to touch my body. So even if it's my own mother, I personally have said that to my own family. Isa doesn't want to hug right now, maybe later when he's ready. And that is completely fine, because we want them to be trained to be able to stand up for themselves and say no, because sometimes I will not be in the room. Does that make sense? Sorry.
This is your principle, you guys. Mubarak, mashallah. Okay, any more questions? If I can't see you, you can shout out. There's a lot of pillars in the way. No? All right. This is where to find me. Meaningful Psychiatry is the name of my private practice. I have a really fun Instagram page where I talk a lot about lots of different psychiatry, mental health things.
I just got another question. What about the upper part of the body, like the chest? Does that apply to girls?
Well, I mean, this is kind of like getting into the next topic. Yeah, we will talk about that next, but this was the content for this age group. Any questions from anybody else before we dismiss the younger age group? Okay then, Fatima, I'll let you dismiss.
All right, my friends, so if you're in pre-K, kindergarten, first and second, let's stand up. Make sure your teacher is with you. Let's get in a line behind our teachers. Parents, you're welcome to stay. We ask you to please stay, even if your children are littler. so that you can benefit from the rest of the session, inshallah. Students, with your teacher, head to the gym, inshallah. Okay, so pre-K to grade 2 exit, and if everybody else wants to come closer, you can huddle in to this side if you would like. Come in closer.
Okay, Bismillah. We're going to move along to higher level content now. If you're little, get out the room quickly. Okay. We're going to be praying Asr Salah shortly, so we'll take a break for that, and then we'll resume the content. All right, let's go. Bismillah. Okay. So this is a hadith in Al-Bukhari, a solid, sound, sahih hadith of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. And he said, the best of speech is direct and concise. So as we move forward, we are going to be direct and concise. I'm not going to be talking in riddles about this really important stuff. Okay? Bismillah. Okay. Growth and development. So now we're talking a bit about puberty, when our bodies are changing from childlike bodies into more adult-like bodies. As we grow up, our bodies go through changes. This is how Allah made us. Puberty is a natural part of growing up and becoming an adult, just like how you get taller and stronger. If you have questions about your body as it goes through these changes, it's always appropriate to ask about that stuff. Puberty is normal. Puberty is not a dirty word. It's a normal thing that happens to every human who lives long enough to see that. Okay? Everyone has to go through puberty. Your parents had to go through it. Your aunties and uncles had to go through it. Your grandma went through puberty. Okay? Puberty, changing from a child into an adult body. Okay? So we're going to talk a little bit about what happens for boys and for girls during this time. And I would like everybody here to pay close attention. Don't tune out if you're a boy when we're talking about girls. And don't tune out if you're a girl when we're talking about boys. Everybody needs to know this stuff, which is why we did not divide this session into genders. Okay? Let's move along. Girls. Girls tend to enter puberty about a year before boys do. Okay? So between the ages of 9 and 11 is the beginning of puberty for girls. The first thing that happens is estrogen levels rise. This is a hormone in the female body and in the male body, but in greater quantities in the female body. The first thing you'll notice when you enter into puberty as a girl is breast development. Your uterus will also grow, which is what houses children. Okay, it will get bigger. You'll start developing body hair in all sorts of places, which is normal and kind of creepy at first. And lots of mood swings. Okay, your emotions are about to expand. Okay? Boys tend to enter puberty about a year after girls do. So 10 to 12 years old are the beginning stages. Testosterone levels surge in boys. Okay? Testosterone is a hormone in men and women, but more predominantly in boys. Testicles get larger, okay? Body hair starts to grow in all sorts of places. Boys tend to have a growth spurt. They get tall all of a sudden. Their voice deepens. They don't sound like their childlike selves anymore. And they also have mood swings. Mood swings are not only something that girls have. Boys definitely have them too. Yes? Mood swings. So your emotional capacity is now growing. You know, I don't know if you guys have watched the movie Inside Out, but it's pretty good the way that it shows increasing emotional range. You might get irritated more easily. You might get a bit more aggressive more easily. You might feel slighted more easily. You might get embarrassed more easily. There's a lot more going on now because your frontal lobe in your brain is developing. And that is where your executive functioning and planning comes from. So you're able to understand the world in more intricate ways as you grow. Mood swings are to be expected. Testosterone is a hormone in males and females, but mainly in males. It is produced predominantly by the testicles in males. Okay. This is why I kind of wish I put that diagram in. Testicles are attached to the penis. They are on the outside. You probably have seen yours before. They're on the outside. I should have really put a diagram in this, but I didn't want to scare you all so much. Should I? I do have a diagram in this slide deck. Should I skip ahead and show you that diagram? Raise your hands if you want to see that diagram. Should I just do it? Okay. Okay, we'll break for Salah, then we'll do the diagram. Okay. All right, let's pray Asr Salah, then everybody reconvene and sit back down, okay? gone.
Yeah, because the young people are going to pray.
Should I start or should I let people finish praying? Or...
This is a class that is 5th and 6th combined. What do we do for that class?
Keep them.
They stay?
They'll be okay. Thank you so much. All right. Okay. Okay. I hope you all prayed Salah with khushu, and we're not waiting to see the diagram. Joking. Okay, welcome back. Okay.
All right, my friends, I'm not going to let her start until the room is quiet. So let's make sure that my voice right now is the only one I can hear. Thank you. And ladies, if you're on the sister side, please come over if you want to be able to see and hear a little bit better. If you're comfortable where you are, that's fine too.
Okay, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wahlul 'uqdatam min lisani yafqahu qawli. The content is now advancing. We are going to see this diagram and we're going to take it quite seriously. It's not a laugh and a joke. So my tone now is going to be a little bit more intense, okay? Because we're going to take this seriously. I am trusting you people with this diagram, okay? The Lake Washington School District does teach this curriculum, so it is appropriate for us to go ahead and do this now, even though I was planning to save it for the older kids, although it should have been done younger last time as well. All right, let's go ahead. And we'll come back to this stuff. Anatomy, okay? Every part of our body has a name and a purpose. It's important to know what these names are and what these parts of our body do, so that we can ask for help if we need it, and so that we can understand our own health, okay? The next slide is a diagram. Okay, we'll start with the male organs, okay? So this is, this is the male organs, okay? I wish I had a pointer, you know. Most of this you can see on the outside, such as the penis. Down the middle of the penis is the urethra, okay? Through the urethra is connected to the bladder, that yellow thing at the top. The bladder collects urine, and it comes through the urethra and out of the body. The testicles are here on each side, okay? They are also on the outside of the body in males. They are connected to seminal vesicles, kind of at the top there by the bladder. The testicles produce testosterone. They also produce sperm. That is the DNA. That is the half that the man produces up to create an egg that is fertilized and to have babies. So sperm is produced in the testicles, okay? That's a really important, vital function of human life. The sperm then travels through these tubes here, the vas deferens on each side, and enters into those little vesicles at the top called the seminal vesicles. Those vesicles produce fluid so that the sperm can survive and actually live. That fluid is packed full of nutrients and energy for the sperm. Together, the sperm and the seminal fluid can also come down through the urethra and out of the penis. That is called ejaculate. That is different to urine, okay? So two different kinds of fluid can come out of the penis. One is urine and one is ejaculate, which is made up of sperm and semen. Is that clear? All right, do you know what a testicle is now? Okay, good. Let's move on to the female anatomy. I really wish I had a pointer. Okay, on the female side, most of this stuff is on the inside of the female body. There are things on the outside as well, but they're not shown here in this diagram. So we're going to talk about the inside parts, okay? We have the vagina here. That's kind of like a tube connected. Is there? Oh yeah, I could use the cursor. Thank you. All right. You can all see the black cursor, right? So here we have the vagina. This is a tube, okay? Oopsie. It's connected to the cervix, okay? And then you see this like pear-shaped organ. That is the uterus. That is what holds babies as babies grow, okay? Inside of the uterus, there is a lining. That lining is very nutrient dense. It is designed to nurture a living being, a little human fetus, okay? If the uterus is not implanted by a fertilized egg, what happens is that lining is not necessary, and that lining sheds every month. That is the menstrual cycle. And girls, as they enter puberty, have the menstrual cycle every month, where they bleed for a period of, 5-7 days, something like that. But that lining is very nutrient dense and really critical to pregnancies in the future, okay? Here are the ovaries. They're similar to the testicles in boys that produce a lot of testosterone. The ovaries here produce a lot of estrogen. They also produce progesterone. These are huge, huge, important hormones when it comes to the menstrual cycle, and even more important when it comes to pregnancy, okay? The ovaries here are kind of close to these fallopian tubes. So an egg develops in the ovaries, similar to how sperm develops in the testicles. The egg will kind of pop out of the ovary and then be taken through this fallopian tube and get fertilized if fertilization happens. Otherwise, it will pass through and out of here during the menstrual cycle. If pregnancy does happen, it will grow and lodge here and kind of become a fetus and an embryo. It's absolutely magical. But our organs do really impressive things, really important functions. And it's important to know what the names of these things are if we have any health concerns. Okay? That wasn't too scary, was it? Everybody survived that, didn't they? Did anybody pass out? Well, you're back up now, aren't you? All right, that was anatomy. Let me go back. So we skipped to that slide because somebody wanted to know what testicles are. Now you also know what ovaries are too. You know lots of things now. So you're ahead of the game, inshallah. Let's talk a little bit about gender interactions, because for this age group, this becomes really important. As you start entering into the world of pre-puberty and puberty, you might start to like people. You might start to notice people in different ways. You might start to think other people are attractive, are pretty, are handsome. And gender interactions become very important. Islamically, we are very mindful of how we interact with the other gender. That doesn't mean we don't interact with them at all, but we are mindful in how we do this. Gender interactions, when you are interacting with members of the opposite gender, have to be purposeful. So if you have a school project to work on together and you're working with boys and you're working with girls, go ahead, work on your school project. It's purposeful. Keep it purposeful. Gender interactions should be public. They should not be done in private, okay? You should be in a group setting. You should be in a public setting where people can walk in and out. The door of any room should not be closed. Gender interactions should be limited. We don't need to just hang out with each other just for funsies, okay? They should be limited. In this age specifically, okay? Is that clear? Okay. Right, bodily autonomy. So this means being in charge of your own body, okay? You are the boss of your own body, and your body is an amana. It is a trust from Allah. You are expected to take care of your body. You're expected to keep it clean, keep it healthy, and do all the things that your body needs to function, because your body is your vehicle in this life and you need it to live. It is a trust from Allah, okay? Allah is always in charge, but He has given you free will. So you are able to have some control over your own body and your own mind as well. You have to do the things that are pleasing to Allah. This is an existential question. Allah has given us free will, okay? That means you are allowed to do whatever you want, and you are actually capable of doing a lot of bad things. You are capable of doing wrong things. But because we are Muslim, and we have some guidance, we learn about our religion, we try and do the things that are pleasing to Allah, okay? That's the whole point of free will. You have to try and do what is the right thing to do. Let's move along. All right, trusted adults. We have to, this age range has to be able to identify who is a trusted adult in your life. Somebody you know will take good care of you. Somebody you know has good intentions for you. Somebody you feel safe around, okay? Think about who your trusted adult is. Is it a parent? Is it your mom? Is it your dad? Is it a teacher at school that you find yourself more comfortable around? Is it a counselor at school? Is it an aunt? You know, who is your trusted adult? But you should have in the top of your mind, if anything was to happen, anything serious, anything dangerous, anything that makes you feel like, uh-oh, something isn't right, then you should have the top of your mind, I know who to go to. I know a place where I can be safe and a person I can talk to about this to. Is that clear? This is really serious. And for this age group, Generation Alpha, okay, internet safety, you have only known a world full of technology. You've only known that. You've not lived in a time before technology. So the internet is everywhere. In fact, your media, a lot of your TV shows are on YouTube and Netflix, and all of this is actually the internet, okay? So internet safety is really important. The internet can be super useful, super useful. But Islam teaches us to protect our privacy and avoid things that are not good for our hearts and minds, okay? And something about YouTube specifically, because Generation Alpha loves YouTube. You are Generation Alpha, my friend, okay? And what is on YouTube? There's 8 billion people in the world, and 8 billion people can post whatever they want on YouTube. So we have to be careful with what we are watching, because absolutely anything can be up there. We have to be careful what we are seeing and what we are hearing, because it becomes a part of us, okay? So internet safety, be very careful about what you are seeing, what you are watching, okay? Also, sharing information online. I don't know if any of you are allowed to have social media or Roblox or all of these ways that you can actually communicate with strange people online, but do not share your personal information. That means your full name, your date of birth, your home address. What else is personal information? Phone numbers, exactly. Be very mindful with what you are sharing online, okay? All right, any questions about any of that stuff for this age group? Any big questions? Does everybody understand everything on every slide? Go on. Oi, 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 oi. Listen. All right, we're not going to start a riot over here. What we are talking about is being in charge of your body for the sake of safety, privacy, modesty, and your bodily health, okay? That doesn't mean when your mom tells you to clean your room, you say, no, I'm in charge of my body and I have free will, and no. We have to do what is pleasing to Allah, and, cleaning your room is pleasing to Allah, okay? Don't try and get out of that. Yes, go on. Okay, so she asked the question, are you really the boss of yourself when you have to listen to your elders, people older than you? It depends what they're telling you, doesn't it? If they're telling you to clean your room, do your homework, brush your teeth, yeah, you can listen to that because that's all important. But if they're telling you to do something that gives you an uh-oh feeling, then you don't have to listen to that. And even Islamically, we don't have to listen to our elders when they are telling us things that are not, going against Islam. Because this happened in the time of the Prophet when lots of children were becoming Muslim and their parents were not Muslim. And their parents would tell them, no, you can't be Muslim. And they said, but I am and I can. And in those cases, they did not listen to their parents. They continued to pursue Islam. So there are certain cases you don't have to listen to your parents, but this is not a day-to-day thing. Yes? Some people don't have the internet, you're right. Although, internet connectivity is growing more and more. But even rich people can do some really dodgy things on the internet, okay? So we just have to be mindful about what is out there because there's all sorts of things. We have to stay where it's safe, the things the things your parents have said, you know what, that show's okay. That's a nice show, I like that. Okay? Go on. There might be 8 billion people on the planet, but I bet there's even more social media accounts than that. Because some people have multiple accounts, some people have accounts under fake names, some people tell you they're one thing and they're not really that thing. It's called catfishing. So be mindful. Okay, go on. It depends what it is, isn't it? If they're telling you to brush your teeth and you're like, I don't feel comfortable brushing my teeth, that's not acceptable, is it? But if somebody is telling you to do something that breaches your bodily safety, then that is a different story, okay? Homework must be done. Don't get up. We're not here to talk about homework. I'm not here to talk about your relationship with your parents today. About doing homework, and you have to do that, that's normal. Any more questions about this topic? Okay then. Again, this is where to find me, Meaningful Psychiatry, Badeea Qureshi, I'm everywhere.
I do want to just add, if your parents are asking you to do something that you're not comfortable with and you're worried that your body is not safe, then you can go to a different trusted adult. Dr. Badeea mentioned a teacher that you trust, your principal at Sunday school, myself, I'm a resource for you. Imam Adam is a good person to go to. There's a lot of people. If you're worried and you need to know, is it okay that my parent asked me to brush my teeth or clean my room or anything else that you feel worried about? It's not funny. It might sound funny right now, but I'm very serious. If there is something that you feel worried about and you're not sure if what your parent is asking you to do is okay, then you find a different adult that you trust. Is that clear? Okay, my friends. So now we're going, do you have a real question? What's your real question?
SubhanAllah, that's actually a really good question. What if something is happening that is actually quite serious and it's affecting your modesty, your privacy, your bodily safety, and your parents don't want you to speak to anybody else? That can be a really scary situation because you might really need help. And at the same time, you're still a child and your parents are still, responsible for you. So you feel stuck in this position of, all right, my parents are telling me I shouldn't ask for help, but I feel like I definitely need it. In those situations, I would still reach out to another trusted adult, okay? At school, at Sunday school, in the masjid, another trusted adult. If you have any doubt, and it's sometimes hard to know what is serious and what is not when it's happening. So if there's any doubt of is this legitimate or not, ask. It's better to ask a trusted, safe adult. Is that clear? Allah make it easy, you guys. Allah protect you all. You are our future generations, and may Allah cover you with His protection and mercy and keep you safe. Ameen. Go on. Okay, I'll let Fatima dismiss the next group, and then we will advance the content.
All right, my friends, if you are in grade 3 to grade 4, please stand up and get ready to leave. You're going to go to the gym and get your shoes and backpacks with your teachers and head to class. So I should only be left with grades 5, grade 6, and parents. And it is up to you if you stay with your children. That is up to you, inshallah.
Okay, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. The content is now going to advance further. All right. Bismillah, let's go for it. So we did already talk a bit about anatomy. And we did, yes, do you have a question? Yeah. It's a good question. It's a really good question. And physical discipline is not really appropriate, I mean, if you are feeling worried for your safety, then always ask for help. It's okay. We will navigate that together. You can't be expected to figure that out by yourself. You're a kid. Do you see what I mean? So it's probably still better to ask. Yeah, and you can bring it up to your principal, who needs a pay raise. Anyway, let's move along. So we already did this diagram. I'm going to show it to you one more time. And we talked about the anatomy and the physiology. So what the names of these parts are and what their functions are. Okay, we already covered that, so I'm not going to cover it again unless there are any big questions. All right, let's move along. Okay, so for this age group now, as we grow more and more, and we are now entering the throes of puberty, cleanliness and hygiene become really, really important, okay? Cleanliness is half of our faith, and Islam puts a really big value on cleanliness. Personal hygiene, bathing, making sure we smell nice, making sure we're clean, making sure we understand things like ghusl, bathing, the ritual bathing after things like menstruation, after things like a wet dream. And now I'm going to have Imam Adam come and talk a little bit more about these concepts and what ghusl is and how to perform it, because this is top tier. You all need to pay close attention to this part.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Jazakumullah khair, Dr. Badeea, for explaining so many things to our kids, and made my job a lot easier because you've explained a lot of the things that I'm going to be talking about. So I'm going to be talking about something which is very important for us to know about our religious obligation to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with regards to puberty. Okay? The Prophet ﷺ, he said, cleanliness is half of iman, half of faith. So what is that cleanliness? It doesn't just mean clean your room. Okay, maybe you hear that all the time when your parent is telling you to clean your room. They say cleanliness is half of faith. Wash the dishes, cleanliness is half of faith. It's not only to do with that. That's part of it, of course. But it also has to do with cleanliness of the heart, cleanliness in your words, cleanliness in your actions, cleanliness in how you treat other people. It needs to be pure. It needs to be clean. Also, part of that is keeping your body clean. This is part of Islam. When we come to the masjid, the doctor, she talked about when you reach puberty, then you will begin to notice that your body smells different, stinky. Okay? So you must make sure that your body is clean. You must make sure that you smell nice when you come to the masjid. The Prophet ﷺ, he told us that when we come to the masjid and either we didn't brush our teeth and our breath stinks, or we have body odor coming out from our body that makes it hard for the person next to us to pray next to us, then the angels, they go away from us. And when we pray, we want the angels with us, not to go away from us. We also want people to not also go away from us, right? So it's important to keep our body clean. When it's time to use deodorant, then you should use deodorant, which is what you use on your armpits to make sure that they don't stink. When you can use perfume as well in order to remove bad smells, or to help make sure that when you come to the masjid that you smell nice. Okay, so let's now talk about ghusl. So ghusl is something we should be doing at least once a week. At least once a week for Jumu'ah, we should be making ghusl. Some people make it more than that. That's fine, that's good. So when is it required? The first time when it's required is after physical relations between husband and wife, between man and woman. Okay? Another time when ghusl is required is after ejaculation or a wet dream, what the doctor mentioned. Okay? What the doctor mentioned about ejaculate. When you have a wet dream is when that happens at nighttime and it's involuntary. You didn't want it to happen, but it happened involuntarily at night. And the first time that happens, you have become mature, Islamically speaking, and now you are responsible for all of your actions. That means if you miss any more of your 5 times of salah, you are responsible to Allah. If you miss any fasts, you are responsible to Allah. Everything now, you are responsible to Allah, and the main indicator is puberty. And so when is puberty? Puberty, maximum age is 15. So if you are 15 years old and you have not had a wet dream, you have not had your monthly cycle as a girl or as a boy, you have not had a wet dream, then you have not reached puberty. But if you're 15, then you have reached it, even if those things did not happen. So the maximum age is 15. After that, you have puberty no matter what, and you are responsible before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Before that, you are also responsible, but it's less responsible. Okay? You have more room for mistakes. After that, you still have room for mistakes, and Allah is all forgiving. Allah is forgiving, Allah is merciful, of course, but now you are as responsible as your parents. You are responsible before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I'll take questions at the end if you don't mind to. Okay, so after ejaculation, after wet dream, or after menstruation. For girls, after menstruation. Once your period begins and your period ends, then you must make ghusl. So what is ghusl? Ghusl is a shower or a bath, but it has to be done in a specific way. And the state of needing ghusl is janaba. So after intercourse or after a wet dream or after menstruation, you are now in a state called janaba. That means major impurity. That means if you want to pray, normally when you want to pray, what do you have to do before prayer? Normally, what is it that you do before prayer normally? What do you do before prayer? Come on guys, you've been going to Sunday school for years now. You make wudu. You make wudu. Very good, you make wudu. But if you are in a state of janaba or major impurity, then wudu is not enough. You must make ghusl. And ghusl counts as wudu as well. Ghusl also counts as wudu. So it's not like you have to do ghusl and wudu, but wudu is part of ghusl, and I will talk about that. Alright. Okay, now let's talk about menstruation or loshia. Loshia is after giving birth to a child, and it's the same state as the period. The period normally lasts or the menstruation lasts for like 10 days, whereas loshia can last up to 40 days. That's less relevant to you guys in terms of childbirth, but it's something to know as well. The condition is the same. So the first one is that during your period, the girls, they must not touch or recite the Quran. They can make dhikr. But there is an exception for the student of Quran who's memorizing Quran, for the one who's going to school and learning Quran in her school. She should still go to Quran school. She should still learn the Quran there. If she's memorizing Quran, she should still revise. That's okay. If she is the teacher, then she should continue to teach Quran. She should not stop from teaching because of her period. So this is important exceptions. But otherwise, if that is not her case, then she should refrain from touching or reciting the Quran. Number 2, Allah has, so this burden of menstruation is the burden of motherhood. It is the burden, whether you are a mother or not. It is a burden that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has placed on you. But with it also comes an ease. What is the ease? That during the period, women do not have to pray. And they don't have to make up their prayer afterward. And this is a way of Allah giving them ease in addition to this burden that they have, that men do not have. Also in terms of fasting. So fasting is different from prayer because a girl that's on her period that cannot fast, but once her period is over, then she can make up those fasts after Ramadan. She can make up those fasts after Ramadan. If she's, there's also some issues around pregnancy and nursing, but that's something that we can just leave for another time because it's not really relevant to the young ages. She must also refrain from physical intimacy with her spouse. Okay. And then after the period is over, after the monthly cycle is over, you must make ghusl. This is important for both boys and girls to know. This is important for everyone to know what's going on. Otherwise, you're going to get married and you're going to be like, what do I know about the other gender? Because some people, they said we should separate. So the girls should, but this is normal stuff. You all study this in school. So why are we not separating you at school? So it's important for everyone to know. It's very important. Actually, there was a convert who came and asked one of my students, who was a man. She didn't know about, she didn't really care too much about, who should she ask or who should she not ask. She's like, if I'm on my period, can I come to the masjid? She asked this question. And he had taken my class, and he had understood the men's part as well as the girl's part, so he was able to answer her question instead of sending her to someone else, right, who may know, who may not know. So it's important for all of us to know these things. It's very important. Now, another question that comes up is, can women come to the masjid when they are on their period? And the answer to that question is yes. But I'll put a but at the end of that. And the but is that there is a difference of opinion among some scholars. And some of the scholars, they say that she should not come to the masjid during her period. So you might have people who tell you the other opinion. But the opinion that I am most satisfied with is the opinion of many scholars, including one of the opinions of Imam al-Shafi'i, al-Muzani, Ibn al-Munzir, and others, who base it off of the hadith of Abu Hurairah. Abu Hurairah, basically he had an interaction with the Prophet ﷺ about ghusl, about bathing, and the Prophet ﷺ, he said, al-mu'minu la yanjas. The believer cannot be impure. The believer by themselves cannot be impure. All right? Another reason is that we allow non-Muslims to come to the masjid all the time. And the non-Muslims, they do not follow ghusl, they do not follow wudu. They could be on their period, they could not be on their period. They could be in a state of janaba, most likely they are because they have not done ghusl. So if we allow the non-Muslim to come to the masjid, then the Muslim woman is more important than that, right? Of course. So this is the opinion that I am most favorable towards, but there is two opinions on that issue. Okay, let's move on inshallah. Okay, so how do we make the ghusl, or again, to get out of the major impurity after a wet dream, after menstruation, or after physical intimacy with your spouse? So how to make ghusl? Number one is you make your intention. You think to yourself, I'm making ghusl. Okay? Number two, you say Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Number three, you wash any filth from your body and your privates. Okay, you wash any filth. Number four, you make wudu. Just like you make wudu for salah, you make wudu during your ghusl. Then you wash your whole body, including your hair, and your hair must be washed as well. Some people, they ask about if they have a braid, they have braided hair, or they have a hairstyle. You don't have to undo the hairstyle, but you still have to wash it and make sure it's all wet, including the roots of the hair, including the beard for men, and so on. The Prophet ﷺ, he encouraged us to use soap or some cleaning substance, but it's not required, but it's good too, obviously, to make yourself, to remove any filth and to help with that. Okay, so those are the points on ghusl and major impurity, which is janaba, and also about what we need to know for girls in terms of menstruation, about that as well. So any questions about these topics? I think someone had a question here, yes. So wet dream is, so the doctor explained about ejaculation. Do you remember that? Yeah, so it's when ejaculation happens at nighttime. At nighttime, overnight, it's involuntary. It happens without you intending it. It's something that's normal. So you will wake up and you'll find it wet down there. Okay? And why is it wet? Because of ejaculation that happened at night, and that's called a wet dream. And that also marks the beginning of puberty. You are now considered, in Arabic we call it baligh, which means you are mature. And from that point onward, you are now, in Allah's eyes, an adult. Okay, so you are responsible before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Does that help, the answer for that? Does it answer your question? You understand? Yeah. Okay. Yes? Yeah. Okay, so a wet dream, again, it's normally, you explained this, right, about the ejaculate. So we have, normally, when we go to the bathroom, urine is what comes from our private urine. And then in a wet dream, it's not urine, it's called sperm or semen. It's different fluid. And it comes out at nighttime. It's involuntary. It's not something that you are desiring, it's just something that happens involuntarily. Okay? Maybe your parents or someone can explain you some more, because it seems like, maybe it'll take some time to understand. That's okay. Inshallah, with time you'll understand it, inshallah. Barakallahu feek. Okay. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi.
Thank you so much. Jazakallahu khairan. It's how lucky, what a good session, to have the Imam on hand like that as well. That's so useful. Okay, alhamdulillah. So let's move along a little bit about internet safety again. I know I mentioned this with the younger group. I want to mention it more specifically and more thoroughly with this age group. Because, what we consume on the internet really becomes part of our mental health, and the way that we interact and engage with the internet is really important. Cyberbullying is a really big deal. I have some statistics on cyberbullying where people are really being bullied online via social media. Seeing and sharing inappropriate content happens an awful lot on social media. I'm talking about pictures in the nude, pictures of private parts and genitalia being shared on social media. That is inappropriate content. As Muslims, we do not engage with that content. And then the concept of online predators, people who pretend to be somebody else, people who befriend you and, make friends with you and are very charming, very nice and kind, but actually their intentions are not very nice and kind. Okay? Here are some stats for internet safety. So, 46% of teenagers in the USA have experienced online bullying and harassment. That's almost half of you guys. Physical appearance is the #1 thing that people are bullied for online. How sad is that? How sad is that? Online bullying includes things like name calling, spreading false rumors, receiving and sharing explicit images of private parts, or maybe that person in the nude. Prevalence of online predators has jumped between 2021 and 2023. A study came out from this organization, National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, and they received 35 million complaints in 2023 versus 29 million in 2021. So the internet is increasingly a growing space, and a lot more people are spending a lot more time on the internet. And just like in our day-to-day interactions, people can do some really bad things. Online, they can also do some pretty bad things. And we should be mindful of that when we are using the internet. I wanted to talk a bit about sexual trauma. Now, this is really serious, and this does happen. And this happens inside of our very own Muslim community. We are not immune to this. We are not higher than, mightier than, more righteous than, more pious, untouchable, protected. We are not. We are subject to sexual trauma and sexual abuse as well, and this happens inside of the Muslim community. The first thing I want you to know about this is if something like this happens to somebody, it is never their fault. You cannot blame somebody for the actions of somebody else. Okay? So we must make that delineation between who did the harm, who did that harm, and who was being harmed. Okay? As a mentality shift, this is something we all need to do. Here are some stats on sexual trauma. 1 in 5 women experience some form of sexual trauma in their lifetime. God protect. 1/4 of all men experience some form of sexual violence in their lifetime. The first age of an experience like that is between 11 and 17. This is your age range in this room, more or less. Only 25% of sexual assaults are reported to the police. This is data from 2018. But lots of people do not report when something so serious is happening to them. For many reasons. They feel ashamed, they feel guilty, they feel like nobody will believe them. They wish it never happened and so are just going to pretend it didn't happen. You know, they don't want to shame their families or all sorts of things that prevent people from seeking help and from reporting these very dangerous incidents. Sexual relationships in Islam. Now, I wanted to talk about this because I don't want you to leave here just feeling purely petrified and terrified. You know, sexual relations are completely acceptable inside of the guidance that we have in Islam. And Islam is so smart, you guys, so smart. I had to study medicine for 14 years and become a full psychiatrist just to tell you guys that what I already knew in Islam I had already got the golden ticket in my hand. Okay? Sexual relations are completely acceptable, permissible, encouraged, necessary inside of a marriage between husband and wife. This is a really important part of marriage, a beautiful part. Inside of a marriage, sexual relations literally become worship, ibadah. That's how important and special and precious that is. Outside of a marriage, things get tricky, sticky, dangerous. Okay? For our safety, we have the containment of marriage, where people are committed to each other. Inside of a marriage, sexual relationships must still happen with mutual consent, where everybody is agreeing to do that, and respectfully. Modesty and privacy are still very important in marriage. We don't go and talk about the things we do inside our marriage outside publicly. That stuff is private. Okay? And what is a marriage, by the way? Is this a marriage? If somebody says, okay, how about me and you get married? I know a sheikh, and it'll just be me, you, and the sheikh. We could even get married over the phone. And we could get married for a day or two. And nobody needs to know about this marriage. Is that a marriage? That is not a marriage. Marriages are public. They must be publicly announced. Marriages happen in the presence of witnesses. There must be at least a couple of other people around. Okay? Marriages are not secret. Marriages are intended to be permanent, long-term relationships, committed, fulfilling relationships, not temporary, especially not for a night. Okay? It's important to know these things so we don't get tricked. Because we are smarter than that. We are wiser than that. No one's going to trick us. Is that clear? Bismillah. Okay, that's the gist of the talk so far. I have some book recommendations for Muslim teens. So you don't have to read Twilight. You can read some other fun things written by some incredible authors inside of our own Muslim spaces that are still fun to read, enjoyable to read for Muslim teens, coming of age kind of books. Okay? So you don't have to rely on all the other stuff out there. Okay? And again, this is where to find me, Meaningful Psychiatry. My name is Badeea Qureshi, and I'm a psychiatrist open for business. I have been seeing lots of people already, and I have room to see more, inshallah. Okay, I am everywhere. You'll see me everywhere online. Yes? Yes, let me go back to the book recommendations. And in the meantime, I'll leave this slide up, and I can open the floor for any questions. Is it good? Any questions from anybody in the room? Was that a little bit intense for you guys? QR code. Here you go. This QR code goes straight to my Instagram, where I talk about why it's okay to take psych meds and lots of other things. Okay. Any questions? Yes. What? How can you identify fake friends? I think that's something that you will learn as you grow, you know, like who is to be trusted, who is not. But anybody who makes you feel unsafe with your physical body, or is being mean to you, bullying you, I mean, you know, you got to think a bit about what that relationship is. Do you see what I mean? But you'll learn as you grow, like, I like this, I don't like this. Yeah. Any other questions? We wanted to make sure that parents would also stay in the room. We want to give you guys the language to be able to talk about this stuff. Keep that dialogue open, okay? It is better that they hear it from you than asking their friends, than searching online, okay? You don't want this. It's okay to feel the discomfort of these conversations. It's better that it's happening with you. Inshallah, you can guide and be guided yourselves as well. Okay.
I want to remind everybody, I know some of this may have felt intense. That was intentional. We want this to be a jumping off point. It cannot be the only conversation your child hears about this topic. The intention is, inshallah, it's just a jumping off point. You have some of the words, some of the ideas behind the conversations we need you having with your children, inshallah. If you have questions and you didn't want the kids to hear, I'm about to dismiss the kids, and you're welcome to stick around and ask a few further questions. Alhamdulillah, we're really honored to have Dr. Badeea Qureshi here. So students, right now, let's stand up, grade 5s and 6s, and go to the gym, grab your stuff, and head to class. And again, parents, you're welcome to stick around if you have some questions you wanted to ask with Dr. Badeea without the students present. If you're all done, that's fine too.